You can't be serious. Manager Veronica Pierce's voice cut through Silverstone like a blade, sharp and dripping with disbelief. The upscale Manhattan restaurant went silent for a beat, even the clatter of dishes seemed to stop. A waitress like you serving the Hathaway family's table? She sneered. Kayla Johnson, 24, kept her grip firm on the serving tray. Even as shards of fine china glimmered across the tiled floor at her feet, a broken plate Veronica herself had dropped, but made sure everyone believed was Kayla's fault. Around them, the kitchen staff froze mid-task, watching the humiliation unfold. Clean up this mess, and get back to the kitchen where you belong, Veronica continued, straightening her Chanel blazer with a flick of her wrist. Table 12 is no place for people like you. Kayla's jaw tightened, but her voice stayed calm. 2 years of washing dishes and bussing tables in this temple of New York's elite had taught her how to swallow pride without choking on it. Still, the way Veronica said people like you sparked something deeper, a flame she'd learned to keep hidden since childhood. With all due respect, Miss Pierce, Kayla said, surprising even herself with how steady her tone was. Mr. Hathaway himself asked that I serve his table tonight. Maybe you should take it up with him if that's a problem. A hush fell over the kitchen. Everyone knew Veronica didn't like being challenged, especially not by someone she thought was beneath her. Over the last few months, Kayla had noticed the little things. Veronica assigning her the worst shifts, accidentally, forgetting her share of the pooled tips, constant nitpicking over her uniform or posture. But tonight, things would be different. That morning, James Hathaway III had called personally, requesting the waitress who talks with her hands. Veronica had nearly spilled her coffee when she got the message, not understanding what it meant. What she didn't know was that Kayla carried a secret that would flip the entire restaurant upside down before the night was over. Fine, Veronica spat. But when you screw up and embarrass us in front of the most important family we serve, don't say I didn't warn you. One wrong move, and you're out. Kayla nodded, her face composed, but her eyes said something else. Try me. As she walked toward the dining hall, her reflection glided across the marble floor. She moved like someone who'd already survived much worse than an angry manager with a superiority complex. The main hall of Silverstone shimmered under golden light. Kayla walked between tables of whispering elites, each step measured and silent. At table 12, by the wide windows facing Central Park, sat the Hathaway family. James Hathaway, 35, confident, clean-cut, wore a tailored suit and an easy half-smile that said he'd never had to fight for a thing in his life. His wife, Lydia, was glued to her phone, tapping away, barely aware of the world around her. But the third person, the one sitting quietly, with curious eyes, caught Kayla's attention right away. Mrs. Eleanor Hathaway, 78, radiated old-school elegance. Her silver hair was tied back neatly, her dress simple but graceful. Yet something in her posture, the slight tilt of her head, the way her eyes darted for cues, told Kayla exactly what she needed to know. She was deaf. "Good evening, Mr. Hathaway," Kayla said warmly. "My name's Kayla, and I'll have the pleasure of serving you tonight." James smiled politely. Lydia didn't even look up. "Wine list," Lydia muttered. "And make it quick. We've got a meeting at 10. Kayla nodded, but her attention stayed on Eleanor, who was completely excluded from the conversation, just sitting there, her world silent while the others spoke around her. "And for you, ma'am?" Kayla asked, shifting slightly to stand in Eleanor's line of sight. Eleanor looked to her grandson for help, confused. "She always has Chardonnay," James said, not even glancing at her. "No need to ask." Kayla paused, then made a quiet decision that would change her life forever. She set down the tray, smiled gently, and began to sign. "Good evening, ma'am. It's a pleasure to meet you. What would you like to drink tonight?" The effect was electric. Eleanor's eyes widened. Her hands trembled, and then a radiant smile broke across her face. "You sign." She signed back, emotion lighting up her features. "It's been so long since anyone spoke directly to me." "Yes, ma'am," Kayla signed back smoothly. "We've got a great German Riesling that goes beautifully with the salmon tonight. Would you like that?" Within seconds, the mood at table 12 flipped. The lonely silence around Eleanor vanished, replaced with animated hands, laughter, and warmth. She asked about the food, made little jokes, And for the first time all evening, maybe the first time in months, she was part of the conversation. James watched, stunned. His grandmother hadn't looked this happy in years. "How did you learn that?" he asked, still processing what he was seeing. Kayla smiled softly. "My younger sister's deaf, sir. Sign language was actually my second language. I learned it before I could even read." What she didn't say, that her parents had died when she was 16, leaving her to raise her sister, Maya, alone. That she juggled 3 jobs to afford Maya's special school. That every dollar she made here went to therapy and textbooks. Her own dreams, college, travel, a real life were on hold, so her sister could have what she never did. From the kitchen doorway, Veronica glared, her expression twisting from shock to pure rage. Watching Kayla win praise from Manhattan's most powerful family hit her exactly where it hurt. For the next hour, Kayla worked the table with quiet grace, translating jokes, explaining dishes, guiding conversation, so everyone was included. James couldn't stop smiling. Even Lydia put down her phone. "My grandma hasn't looked this happy in ages," James said, amazed. "You're incredible, Kayla. I want you serving our table from now on." "Actually, sir," Kayla said honestly, "I usually work in the kitchen. Tonight was kind of a first." James frowned. "In the kitchen? That's ridiculous. Who made that decision?" Before she could answer, Veronica appeared like a storm cloud. "Mr. Hathaway," she said, plastering on a fake smile. "Everything satisfactory, Kayla's still in training, so if there's any issue—" "Actually," James interrupted, "she's the best server we've ever had here. My grandmother's finally engaging, and it's all thanks to her." Veronica's smile twitched. "How wonderful," she said, voice tight. "How interesting." Kayla could tell right then, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. After the Hathaways left, Veronica cornered her near the lockers. "My office. Midnight. Don't be late." Kayla simply nodded, calm but alert. She'd seen that look before from caseworkers, principals, authority figures, who thought intimidation equaled power. They were all the same. What Veronica didn't realize was that she wasn't dealing with a scared little employee. She was dealing with someone who had learned, over 8 long years, exactly how to beat people like her, not by yelling, but by documenting. By remembering. Because when you've had to survive systems built to break you, you learn to fight with strategy, not emotion. And Veronica was about to find out exactly what that meant. At exactly midnight, Veronica Pierce's office looked even colder than usual. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, throwing sharp shadows across a metal desk stacked with employee evaluations and half-empty coffee cups. Kayla stepped in quietly, posture steady. Veronica didn't look up. "Sit," she ordered, flipping through papers. "We need to talk about your performance today." Kayla didn't sit. She recognized the move and intimidation trick. She'd seen it a dozen times in welfare offices, school meetings, courtrooms. People like Veronica always tried to control the room first. "I'd rather stand, ma'am," she said calmly. Veronica's lips curved into a smirk. "Listen carefully, Kayla. I've been running this restaurant for 12 years. I know my place, and more importantly, I know everyone else's place." She stood, circling slowly around the desk. "People like you need to understand there are limits." "Limits, ma'am?" Kayla asked, her voice even. "Don't play dumb," Veronica said sharply. "You were a dishwasher yesterday. Today you get lucky, charm an important client, and suddenly you think you're special?" She stopped behind Kayla's shoulder, lowering her voice. "Let me be very clear. Starting tomorrow, you're back in the kitchen. Permanently. And since you seem to need a reminder about where you stand, your new shift starts at 5 a.m., ends at 2. Every day, weekends included." Kayla immediately understood the cruelty in that. That schedule meant she couldn't take a second job. Veronica was cutting her off from every financial option. She had a slow, deliberate punishment dressed up as policy. "I understand," Kayla said simply. Veronica's eyes narrowed. "That's it? No begging? No excuses?" "No, ma'am. I appreciate the opportunity." That composure, that calm, it infuriated Veronica. She wanted fear. She wanted a reaction. "Good," she said, voice like ice. "Then we won't have a problem. But if you ever go over my head again, talk to customers, or do anything beyond your job, you're gone. Got it? There are 10 people lined up for your spot." "Yes, ma'am," Kayla said. She turned to leave, hand on the doorknob, when Veronica's voice sliced through the air again. "Oh, and one more thing. Your little sister Maya, right? Those special schools aren't cheap. Would be a damn shame if something affected your ability to pay for them." The words hung heavy in the air, deliberate poison. Kayla didn't move. "I understand perfectly, ma'am. Good night." She walked out without looking back, keeping her face calm until she reached the locker room. Then, alone under the dim light, her hands trembled not from fear, but controlled fury. She took out her phone, opened her recorder, and whispered, "Report 1, Wednesday, 11:47 p.m. Veronica Pierce. Direct threat involving racial discrimination and blackmail about my sister's disability." Because what Veronica didn't know was that Kayla had 8 years of practice dealing with bullies hiding behind professional titles. She had learned to document everything, every microaggression, every threat, every accidentally skipped raise. Kayla wasn't just a waitress, she was a strategist. The next morning, the city was still half asleep when Kayla showed up for her new 5 a.m. shift. The November air bit through her jacket as she walked up to the employee entrance and froze when she saw a sleek black BMW parked outside. James Hathaway stepped out, still in yesterday's suit, dark circles under his eyes, but that same sharp calm of someone used to being in control. "Kayla," he greeted warmly. "I was hoping I'd catch you. Mind if we talk for a second?" "Of course, sir," she said. "Though I'm due in the kitchen in a few minutes." He frowned. "Kitchen? You're not serving today?" "No, sir, I've been reassigned." "Reassigned?" His brow furrowed. "After the best service my family's ever had?" Kayla hesitated. One wrong word could mean instant termination, but she'd learned to read sincerity in people, and James looked genuinely concerned. "Mr. Hathaway," she said slowly, "can I be honest with you? There are internal politics here. Certain people don't believe I belong out front." James's expression darkened. "Politics," he repeated quietly. "Are we talking about discrimination?" Kayla gave a careful, diplomatic smile. "We're talking about decisions I have to respect if I want to keep my job." That told him everything. "I see." He pulled out a card from his jacket and handed it to her. "Kayla, I'd like to make you an offer. My family hosts events all the time, and my grandmother was thrilled with you. Would you consider working directly for us? The pay's a lot better than whatever you're getting here." Her heart skipped. This was the kind of opportunity people like her never got, the kind Veronica had spent her whole career keeping out of reach. "I'd love that, sir," she said softly. "But I'd need to give 2 weeks' notice." "Of course," James said. Then, more firmly, "If anyone tries to make things difficult for you, I want you to call me personally. That's my cell. Don't hesitate." He gave her a reassuring nod and left, the BMW disappearing into morning traffic. Kayla looked at the card in her hand, the Hathaway family crest embossed in gold. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to smile. Veronica had made a fatal mistake. She thought she was punishing a powerless employee. She had no idea she was dealing with a woman who'd been outsmarting broken systems since she was 16. All morning, as she washed dishes in the steaming kitchen, Kayla replayed her plan in her mind step by step. Every threat, every racist comment, every policy Veronica had twisted against her would become evidence. She'd been preparing for this her whole life. Veronica peeked through the window from the main dining room, smirking at the sight of Kayla back at the sink. She thought she'd won. But what she couldn't see was the calm in Kayla's eyes, the calm of a woman who'd already decided exactly how and when to strike. Because people who survive on resilience learn the ultimate truth. The ones who think they hold power are often the easiest to destroy once you stop playing by their rules. And Veronica Pierce was about to find that out the hard way. By the end of Kayla's second week, she'd finished her notice and was just days away from leaving Silverstone behind. She'd played her role perfectly: quiet, compliant, invisible. Exactly what Veronica expected. Which is why Veronica Pierce nearly choked on her espresso when James Hathaway himself walked into the restaurant for an unscheduled meeting with the owner. "Mr. Hathaway," she greeted, straightening her blazer so fast a button nearly popped. what a pleasant surprise. How can I help you today? Actually, James said evenly, I came to talk to you about one of your employees, Kayla Johnson. Veronica's pulse spiked. Ah, yes, Kayla. A decent worker, though she's had a few discipline issues lately. Discipline issues? James raised an eyebrow. Could you give me an example? Veronica's tone turned syrupy. Well, she tends to forget her position, gets too familiar with guests. People like her sometimes need reminding about professional boundaries and hierarchies. People like her. The phrase hit the air like a confession. James didn't react right away, just tucked his hands in his pockets, studying her. Interesting, he said. And what exactly was the issue with her behavior during my grandmother's dinner? She communicated with your grandmother directly without permission, Veronica said, digging her own grave word by word. Employees at her level are not supposed to interact with VIPs that way. It breaks protocol. James nodded slowly. So, you punished her for providing excellent service. That's not what I meant. I reassigned her to a more appropriate role. Veronica interrupted herself, flustered. To ensure structure in my team. It was right then that Kayla appeared from the kitchen, carrying a tray of spotless glassware. Veronica spotted her and waved her over, desperate to control the narrative. Kayla, come here please, she said with a brittle smile. Mr. Hathaway would like to discuss your transition. Kayla set the tray down and walked over calmly, wiping her hands on her apron. Of course, she said. Actually, Mr. Hathaway, I think it might help if I shared some documentation. I've kept about that transition just so there's no confusion. Veronica froze. Documentation? Kayla pulled her phone from her pocket and tapped the screen. A voice filled the restaurant, the unmistakable tone of Veronica Pierce. People like you need to understand there are limits. Your special little sister, Maya, right? Be a shame if something happened to your ability to pay for her school. The blood drained from Veronica's face. There's more, Kayla said evenly. 3 weeks of similar remarks, plus witnesses who've experienced the same kind of treatment. Veronica, James said quietly, turning to her. Anything you want to say? She's twisting things, Veronica snapped, panic creeping into her voice. Taking it all out of context. She's trying to ruin me. Kayla raised an eyebrow and hit play again. I've been running this restaurant for 12 years. I know my place and everyone else's. People like you need to understand there are limits. The silence that followed was deafening. Every waiter, every cook, every dishwasher within earshot had stopped what they were doing. For years, they'd all felt Veronica's cruelty. Now they were hearing it out loud. James turned to her, expression unreadable. Veronica, as the principal investor in this restaurant, I'm officially ending our partnership. You have until the end of the day to clear your office. You can't do that, Veronica exploded. Because of this girl. James leaned in slightly, finished that sentence. Veronica's mouth opened, then shut again. She could feel every eye in the room on her. The same staff she'd demeaned for years were now watching her fall apart. Kayla calmly pocketed her phone. Mr. Hathaway, she said quietly, I think we can finish discussing my new position in a more professional setting. James nodded. Absolutely. He turned back to Veronica. Expect to hear from my attorneys regarding the legal side of this. And just like that, they walked out, leaving Veronica standing in the wreckage of her own arrogance. Through the glass door, she saw them talking outside the Millionaire and the waitress she tried to destroy. For how long? James asked her softly. 8 years, Kayla said. Ever since I learned the only way to win against people like her is to keep receipts. From the window, Veronica watched helplessly as her career, her reputation, and the fragile image she'd built all collapsed around her. Within the hour, the restaurant's owner called her. James Hathaway had sent over the recordings, along with a legal notice and a request for investigation into workplace discrimination. By the next morning, everybody knew. 6 months later, Manhattan's most luxurious ballroom glowed under golden chandeliers. The first annual Hathaway Inclusion Gala was in full swing. At the center stage stood Kayla Johnson, no longer a waitress, but now Director of Community Relations for the Hathaway family. Ladies and gentlemen, she said with a confident smile, signing each word as she spoke, tonight we're celebrating something bigger than inclusion. It's proof that when you give people real chances, they'll blow your expectations out of the water. In the front row, Eleanor Hathaway clapped, beaming proudly. Beside her, James smiled too, knowing full well this entire event, the training programs, the scholarships, the company-wide inclusion initiative had all started because of Kayla's courage. My sister Maya, Kayla continued, always told me our difference isn't a weakness, it's our superpower. From the audience, Maya waved through tears, now a college student on a full Hathaway scholarship, studying graphic design. Meanwhile, 15 blocks away, Veronica Pierce sat hunched in her tiny Queens apartment, watching the live stream on her cracked phone. After the recordings leaked online, every restaurant in the city blacklisted her. A Google search of her name brought up headlines about the racist manager of Silverstone. She tried to move states, even applied for a job in New Jersey, but rejection emails kept coming. The industry that once feared her now avoided her like the plague. Back at the gala, one of Silverstone's former employees, now part of the new inclusion team, took the mic. Kayla taught me something important, he said, both speaking and signing. Dignity isn't something people can give or take from you. It's something you carry inside, no matter what they do to you. The crowd erupted in applause. Cameras flashed. Reporters scribbled notes. James rose first, leading a standing ovation that rolled through the hall like thunder. Across town, Veronica lowered her phone, face tight with bitterness, but deep down, she knew the truth. Kayla hadn't just survived, she'd thrived. She'd become the storm Veronica tried to drown her in. On stage, Kayla finished her speech. True revenge isn't destroying the people who hurt you, it's building something so powerful that it makes them irrelevant. Turning your pain into purpose. That's how you win. The room exploded with applause, the sound echoing through every speaker, every live stream feed. Kayla had come full circle from washing dishes in silence to being the face of change for an entire industry. 2 years later, when Veronica finally landed a minimum wage job as a hostess at a dingy cafe in Queens, she sometimes glanced up at the TV news. Kayla's name appeared again and again: awards, conferences, company partnerships. The lesson was impossible to miss. When you try to break someone out of prejudice and arrogance, you don't just expose your own smallness, you give that person every reason to rise higher than you ever could. And as the camera panned over the shining crowd at the gala, Kayla's final words lingered like a quiet anthem. They tried to keep me small, but all they did was teach me how big I could become.